Hello, everybody. It's me, Max, and welcome to another episode of MAGA Bytes, my full-length podcast that I do for my members, of Maximus Premium, for MPs. So I hope everyone enjoys this, and I hope everybody's having a blessed and wonderful week. And I'm joined in studio by the talented, by my sidekick, by my personal assistant and vice chair of my network, Roxie Balboa. Are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Everything's going fine. How's the family? Everybody okay? Yeah, everybody okay?
Everybody's doing good. Everybody's good.
That's it. That's cool. We can pour on our New Yorkese accents and kind of everybody crack up laughing. So
that's right.
Anyway, so everybody, tell everybody in the room, tell everyone in Max's garage to join us and come on in. We're going to be answering questions and just having some fun here for a little bit and just relaxing. Come on in. So anyway, so what's going on new in the world? What's going on? What's happening? Did you see what happened in Italy?
I did see what happened in Italy. Good stuff going on over there.
I couldn't believe it. I was really happy. I knew the country was moving to the right for several months, and then I couldn't believe the absolute decisive landslide. I mean, they swept the right-wing parties, swept the elections. They took both houses of parliament. They're going to have a new prime minister. They have a parliamentary system similar to the way they have it in the UK and Israel. And they have a multi-party system similar to most of the European countries. And so there's a coalition of parties led by, I think they're called Brothers or Brotherhood of Italy, and they have a slightly fascist origin to that party, which that shouldn't really put people off because the party's very old. What's her name again? The new prime minister. She's the first female prime minister of Italy. Starts with an M. Anyways, people shouldn't be put off too much about the brothers because that party there's roots go way back to, I think, the post-Second World War. And as far as its fascist background, if you're going to start judging political parties by their origin alone, not what they stand for today, you might as well look at the Democratic Party and judge it because it's the party of slavery, it's the party of Jim Crow, it's the party of the KKK, it's the party of anti-civil rights party of the 1960s. So, we can become very judgmental about political parties' origins. The Democratic Party is a very suppressive party in its origin. But I don't know what her name is. Do you know what her?
Maloney?
Maloney, that's it, Maloney. So, she's they're going to be the first female prime minister. Ironically, she's a right-wing conservative. She's very pro-life personally. She's very anti-illegal immigration. She wants to cut legal immigration levels down to zero anyway. She's a protectionist. She's a Eurosceptic, which means she's anti-EU. So you're going to see a big change in Italian politics. And it's interesting because who would have thought this a few years ago? Italy, it was one of the more liberal. Yeah, right. Italy was one of the more liberal socialist countries since the end of the Second World War. So it's always been there, and it's just, this has never happened before. So you have a coalition, I think, of 3 or 4 right-wing parties. It's actually 3. They're either nationalist or they're right-wing. And when we say right-wing, I think one of the members of Premium asked this question. It's like, when you say right wing, all I'm saying is that to the political spectrum, if we were to look at it as a plane, they stand to the right. And that's all that really means, the right wing plane. But they stand to the right, and now you have the dominant party, even in liberal areas that were represented by liberals for generations. They won throughout Italy last night. So this is unprecedented. Italy is now one of the most conservative, definitely the most conservative country on the Mediterranean. So in Southern Europe. So now that's a fact. And it joins Hungary, it joins Poland, it joins parts of France because, what was her name there back in France? I don't know. The woman who almost became prime minister a few months ago. You got me. I can't remember her name, but she's the one.
I would have to Google.
But you know what I'm talking about. Yeah,
Yes.
but yeah, she joins all of these other countries now that have moved to the right. So it's really, really impressive. It's really good to see this. So, anyways, by the way, guys,
Well,
we're
let me ask you
monitoring.
this, though. Now
Yeah,
that you're saying it, now that you're talking about that, do you think it's to foresee things to come? I mean, with our
yeah.
midterms and our presidential election coming up, you think
Well,
it's a
I'll
bellwether
just.
for all that?
Well, it's a possibility. You have different demographics in Italy than you have in the United States. But I'll say this to you: do you remember what Brexit signaled in 2016? Okay, Brexit took place, and that led to the well, at least it was an indicator of where things were going in the United States, because Brexit was a big populist rejection of globalism in the United States. 6 months later, we ended up with President Donald Trump, or President-elect Donald Trump. So, by the way, thank you so much. It's Le Pen. I just saw in Garage. We're monitoring Garage, so you guys can drop comments and questions in Max's Garage, and I'll reference them. But we have people joining us. In MAGA Bytes, if you're a member of Maximus Premium, in MAGA Bytes, we do live broadcasts, so we interact with members of the channel of Fortress Maximus and in the Garage, so Max's Garage, my chat room. So it's all for premium members only, so just to give everybody a heads up. But yes, it's Le Pen of France. So she actually took a large voting share with her. So the populist conservatives in France in the last election did gain ground. They just didn't gain enough ground. But yeah, it's a possibility that it's indicative of things to come, what happened in Italy last night. I mean, we could only hope. And I think this is more, and I'm going to use the word democratic with a little d here. It's really not about electing a new leader. It was about electing conservatives and nationalists nationwide. And that's similar to what we're going to be doing with the midterms. This is not about a single leader, although it's a referendum on Biden, the midterms. This is about electing conservatives nationwide. So that's what I have to say on that. But it's great news, and I think it's more indicative of things to come too in Europe, because Europe, right, you've got to push. You're going to have. I mean, she is a Eurosceptic. That's a polite way of putting she's anti-EU. She's been like that her whole life. And her party is very nationalistic. So they're going to take on elements of the European, specifically the Brussels agreement. They're going to be taking on EU laws that affect Italians. And it's just going to be very interesting to see this dynamic play out. We're talking about a founding member of the EU. This is not some small country in Europe. This is a significant shift in EU politics, and it's very anti-globalistic. So you can't downplay this. And I think it's just people need to sit back, check her out, see the statements she was making in her closing days of her campaign. This woman I would say she's to the right of Donald Trump. So it's going to be very interesting. She's very outspoken, very articulate. It's going to be very interesting to see where Italy goes with this. And, I think it's a great day. It's like
her as far right.
She is far right. The whole right wing left thing comes in. People have asked this question over and over again, and I'll just tell you, it goes back to France following the revolution. It's about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. There was a court. It was actually a tennis court originally, but there was a court where members of the Republic would meet. This was following the revolution, and the people on the left side of the court were the liberals. They were the ones that wanted to move away from monarchy. The people on the right side of the court were the conservatives. They were the ones that wanted to they supported the monarchy. They wanted to restore the king. And then there were the people in the center, which were kind of moderates. They moderated. And that's where we get the concepts of left wing, right wing, and center. By the way, those terms, that's where they come from originally. There's a little piece of information for everybody. I don't subscribe. Little tidbit. I don't subscribe to that kind of thinking too much. I've had a theory since I was very young, actually, and I've used to argue this in college, that there's really no left and right wing. It's more like a circumference, and people kind of move around. And I talked about this at one of my seminars last year, at the one on conservatism and Trumpism, where I talked about the different political ideologies. And if you keep moving in one direction, you eventually come up on the other side. So that's what people
do a 360.
You do. I mean, how many, I'll just ask this question. Have there been any positions you've had in your life that your position moderated or evolved over time, and you found yourself eventually on the opposite side of where you originally were? Any kind of political position, social position, anything like that?
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a big thing too. Like, for instance, our grandparents, right? I mean, I know a lot of them had started out Democratic, and over the time they've evolved and they've changed, and then they became, conservatives. And I think it has a lot to do with the party changing itself, and then your values tend to change over time too.
Yeah, you do. You actually, as you get older, you mellow, so you become more conservative. And, for me, I've gone from being very much supportive of free trade through the Trump, largely because of the Trump era. That was the influence he had on me from the get-go. Was I became more of a fair trade person, like he would put it, and more like, you know what, these big corporations are not necessarily a good thing. We got to break them up. And so, I'm more of a protectionist these days. I want American jobs, American manufacturing. And then, of course, that's a traditional Republican tenet dating back to President McKinley in the late 1800s. And I believe that there needs to be competition. So I take almost a Teddy Roosevelt antitrust position on conglomerates. And so those are areas where that was sort of like from the Reagan era, or even before, going back to Nixon and Rockefeller. The Republican Party shifted positions drastically and embraced big business. And I'm more of a, you know what? No, we need more competition. If a business is big, fine, but we need more of them. And I think we should also also stick up for the little guy. And I'm more of a Main Street as opposed to Wall Street kind of Republican these days. So anyway, I mean, so my positions have evolved too. And that's almost like a traditional Democrat position in many ways, especially with regards to protectionism. That's where Donald Trump used to always say he had a things in common with Bernie Sanders, who's of course a communist, but an avowed communist. But the thing he was pointing out was we have to protect American workers, and we have to make sure American jobs, and he would go whatever it takes to make it American manufacturing, and that's the common ground he was trying to cite. That's why he was opposed to NAFTA. But anyway, but it's, again, recapping, it's great what's going on in Italy, and hopefully the country and the people really, I'm glad they overwhelmingly prospered. And I want to tell you something, it really is a testament to one day voting, because everybody had the vote in one day. So it's really a testament. They counted all the votes in one night. And look what the results were. It's hilarious. It's like, this is an old school election. Yeah, they even used paper ballots in areas. They were using paper ballots in a lot of areas. I'm like, look at the results. Overwhelmingly.
110-year-old lady sitting there counting them, probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. No, I'm going to say this was really something else. But I just want to tell everybody, you can extrapolate this, though. You could extrapolate a lot of things from this. But one of the things I take away, when the people move in large numbers, they overwhelm the vote, they flood the vote, to quote Donald Trump, they can't stop us. There's no way to stop us. They can't. They get overwhelmed. There's no way of stopping us. And I'm just going to stay right there. You could insert whatever words into that you want to, and you could take away what you will. But the bottom line is, if you're all together and everybody's moving as we're going to win, is my point. And that's what happens. We're going to win. We're going to win in November as well. So
that's right. So everybody be encouraged.
Be encouraged. Be of cheer. Be of good cheer, because what's coming up on the horizon is going to be huge. It's going to be huge in November. And the question is, how huge is huge? I mean, how is it going to be huge, or is it going to be huge, or is it going to be huge? I mean, there are different huges. It's like there's so different degrees.
It's going to be huge with a Y.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
Huge.
What else? I don't know. Huge. How does he say that? Does he say huge? I don't know. You're kind of confused with him sometimes. I haven't heard him say it in a while. I don't know. So President Trump, I remember he came up with the word huge. He kind of puts the Y sound in there, you know. Anyway, so what do we got today? Do we have some questions from the rooms? Do we have some emails and some DMs? Do we have some comments from people that they want me to talk about, some of the members of Premium? Try to answer all their questions today. Roxie, you got anything for me? Roxie, you there? Don't tell me your audio went out. Mishkala, I mean, seriously. Okay, we temporarily lost Roxie. She'll be back in a minute. How's everybody doing? It's me, Max. So I'll actually pull up. I got the questions that one of my angels sent me here a minute ago.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay, you're back. Great. Okay,
Yeah,
so you got
my Telegram decided to update right in the middle of it.
You know, I got to tell you, I don't have auto updates on for anything. I do it manually, and I do it randomly throughout the day, so it's always good to have that off.
Oh,
but
that's
okay,
a good idea. I think I'll do that.
Yeah, it's better just to keep auto updates always off because they interfere with what I'm doing, and it's most annoying. It's just most annoying.
Yeah, tell me about it. Like right when you're in the middle of doing a live.
So, anyways, what do we have today? What do we have?
Yeah, no, let's get into it. We got some good stuff. So everybody is loving McCarthy's commitment to America, but
Okay.
the question is, how likely is it that their plans can be carried out during the 2 years before a Republican president is back in office?
Well, you know, the fact is that you have to kind of look. It depends a lot on the factors of the election. Okay, if we take both houses, and you know, we have a much better chance of getting things through Congress because, I mean, depending on who the Senate Majority Leader is going to be, if it's a Republican, if it's McConnell or someone else, if it's a Rick Scott, there's a good chance that somebody like Rick Scott's going to nuke the filibuster himself just to move things out. You know, just move things out from the through the Senate. I don't know if that's going to be a possibility or not. But you know, I don't know if that's going to really happen, is what I'm saying. But if that's it's going to hang on that. So the large part of it's going to hang on whether or not we have enough numbers in the Senate. If we don't take the Senate, I'd say it's very unlikely anything is going to get passed. Now, bottom line is Biden's going to veto whatever gets to his desk. He even said it the other day. That's fine, but if the Republicans can build consensuses, which I don't know if they can, with Democrats, you could put pressure on Biden and, you know, basically horse trade with them. And there's a possibility that may happen. So it's kind of up in the air. I don't really know how much of it would actually get through. But I would say to you that if this was 1995, I would say a lot of it's going to get through. It's not I don't believe a lot of it will get through until there's a Republican president, because Biden is just going to veto everything. Back in 95, Clinton triangulated and he moved to the center to get reelected, and he worked with Gingrich to pass much of the contract with America, Gingrich and Bob Dole. So, you know, I don't know if we can replicate that with an ideologue like, you know, that's kind of like, you know, he's checking out mentally in Biden. And it depends on if we have a Senate, we even have control of the Senate or not, because Chuck Schumer would otherwise tie everything up. As we saw, Harry Reid tied everything up between 2011 and 2013 while the Democrats controlled the Senate and Boehner was the Speaker of the House. So that's my vision. So I don't know how much of it's really going to get through. By the way, I have a general outline from notes of the contract with America 2, the commitment with America, posted on Maximus Premium that I was able to obtain. So it's got some really good stuff in it, including a repeal of the mini BBB, which is good. But it's good that they're on the right track. So no doubt when a Republican president comes in, then they'll repass everything that they originally passed.
Right. So they're kind of like setting the stage for it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Precisely.
Yeah, that's good. So, I know we talked last time about the Democrat candidates not doing debates, right? And how it's most
Right.
likely going to hurt them.
Right.
So it looks like Pritzker over in Illinois is also refusing to debate, and we know that that's like a heavy blue area. Do you think that with him refusing to debate, that Bailey could put the pressure on him and pull it off?
It's a possibility. Illinois is very difficult because you have Chicago. So with Chicago, you're dealing with with Chicago, you're dealing with that's the Democrat stronghold in all of Illinois. I mean, if you got rid of Chicago, basically all of Illinois would be a Republican state. It would be just a Republican state. Democrats would never win an election there. I don't really know. Right now, I think he's trailing by 5, 6, 7 points. So there's the Republicans. So it's a possibility because typically Democrats win by double digits. So if those polls are accurate, and we have to assume that they're going to be a slight Democrat bias in those polls. And we have to also assume that they're of registered voters. Well, we don't have to assume. We know that most of those polls are of registered voters and that the likely voters will be Republican. So, this is probably a 5 to 6 point race. Anything can happen. These days, anything can happen. I mean, even if Democrats are up by 10, 15 points, they can lose elections. We saw this in Michigan in 2016 when Donald Trump was down in every poll Michigan ever had. Some of them he was down by 20 points, and of course he ended up winning Michigan. We saw it again, and the reverse true in Wisconsin in 2020. Every poll had Biden winning Wisconsin by 20 points, by 10 points, by 15 points. There was never a poll where Trump was even close, and of course Biden ended up winning it. By about, I think 19,000 votes, whatever it was. So, there's that dynamic in play where these polls, nobody's polling good anymore, really. So yeah, I would say if you're in Illinois, organize for the Republican Party, get out there and help them because anything is possible. It's just, the fact that none of these, and that's not just in that state, will the fact that the Democrats are not debating impact any of these outcomes? I think in Arizona, clearly it's having an effect there, even in the liberal polls. Hobbs is sinking. I mean, she's in the mid to low 40s. She's getting to a point now where she has like a chance in like 4 or 5 to pull it off. And that's very, very bad. She's not going to do it. And then, you see it in New York. It's a very close race with Zeldin. Okay. And you see it in which the other state where the Democrats not debating? Does anyone know? Because I know there's like 3 or 4 Democrats that are not debating.
Wasn't it Pennsylvania?
Oh yeah, that's it. Right. How did I forget Featherhead? Okay, then you got Featherhead and you got Oz. Okay, so you got with the guy there, whatever, the hoodie on or whatever he is. That one there, that's hurting him. But I think also what's really hurting him is his reasons for not debating. That is people are just waking up to the press is pointing it out. He's got major health issues. So, yeah, I mean, that them not debating and them pulling a Biden is not a winning formula in a Republican year. It's just not.
Yeah, so moving on to the Electoral Count that was passed in Congress, do you think it's going to pass the Senate? And if it does it violate the constitutional rights of all Americans?
No. The Electoral Count Act doesn't really have anything to do with with people's constitutional rights. The Electoral Count Act of 1887 was passed in response to the election 1877. So it was 1876. So 11 years later, Republicans and Democrats passed the Electoral Count Act, and it was supposed to prevent another disaster as they had in the election 1876, and which is one of the worst elections, if not the worst election in U.S. history. And so, it's all about specifically how with the role of Congress in confirming electors and electoral slates and the results. And that's basically it. And it's just whether or not it's constitutional. I've often wondered whether or not the Electoral Count Act is even constitutional. It's never been challenged in the Supreme Court's never spoken on it. So there's an argument. Professor Eastman said that it's not even constitutional. I remember him saying that over a year ago. And, so revising it's a good idea. I just wouldn't trust the Republicans and Democrats to revise it now. Regardless, at the end of the day, it's not going to impact the 2024 elections because either Donald Trump is going to run and win or not. There's no other way of looking at it. And it's going to be all about, if he wins big enough, like I told you, flooding the vote, it's not going to matter. But as far as it's not going to restrict voting, I think people are confused because they think what the Democrats are doing in the House, what they did the other day, they think that has something to do with ways elections are held in states and the way people are voting. It has nothing to do with, drop boxes and ballot counting and any of that. It has everything to do with the way Congress counts the electoral votes every 4 years for president. That's it. In January of following an election. That's all. And it has nothing to do with people voting. Rest assured, guys, it's not going to violate your rights, even if it passed, which I don't think it will, because it's going to get tied up in the Senate, and I think it's going to be very hard to. The Senate has its own version, and I think the House version is never going to pass the Senate, and I don't think they have enough time, frankly. I mean, we're in the stretch now. They only have, between now and early January 3rd, when the new Congress is sworn in, they've only got a couple of weeks worth of time in Washington where they can actually pass anything, and they've got a slew of stuff to get done, so I don't think this is going to make it.
See, this is why everybody loves you. You just put everybody at ease.
Well, I appreciate that, and I love all yous back. I got to tell you, it's a blast, and I'm honored, and just I have a wonderful time talking to everybody. We do this on a regular basis, and I really appreciate everybody that's in the garage. I go around tomorrow, which it's going to be a great day. We're going to have premium day, and what we're going to do is we're going to on the main channel, on my public channel, I'm going to give people a taste of what it's like by just me answering their questions, because I just love to go into the garage and just answer questions from subscribers, and it's fun. It's basically like being in a classroom with me, because it's like a taste of what it's like to be in my seminars. So everybody out there that hears my voice should join one of my seminars, because we do this and we have these discussions on major topics, whatever it may be. Like this weekend coming up is the Anti-Federalist. I'm doing an encore because a bunch of people couldn't make it last weekend, which was terrific. We had a wonderful little group and patriots. And if you want to attend, contact any of the Angels or Warriors. Contact Roxie. Email Roxie at roxiebalboa1 @gmail.com and tell her you'd like to attend this Thursday and Friday, because we're going to talk about anti-federalism, federalism, mandates. We're going to talk about everything, constitutionality of them. I'm going to be talking about Convention of the States. We talked a lot about the Convention of the States. We talked a lot about the writing of the Constitution, the Articles of the Confederation. We talked a lot about Thomas Jefferson. So it's always fun at my seminars because we go into a lot of history. I bring a lot of history in because that's my thing. I hate politics. I really hate politics. I prefer history. And so we'll basically be doing all of that. But I mean, I'm glad I'm able to do this, and I'm glad MAGA Bytes is so popular with MPs, members of Premium, because it's just a lot of fun talking to everybody. So I want to thank everybody.
Even the spontaneous, little teachings that you do in there, like your Spock teaching the other day, people love that, which was very cool. I don't think a lot of people knew about that.
What was that? To refresh my memory, what was it specifically?
With the sign, with the Spock symbol, with the fingers when they
Yeah, I remember that. Well, I just so somebody actually. So one of the things was,
somebody said they wanted to do.
One of the things was actually, I had people asking. Oh, what was it again?
Somebody said he actually wanted to be able to do the symbol with his hands.
This out here, and hold on a minute. Okay, I don't know here. I'm going to have to. My headphones just. My headphones here. Let me just shut them off here. Hold on a minute. Give me a second, because I've got an issue with my. Let me just turn them off.
Well, we'll give him a second. Do you guys want to hear me sing? I don't think so. It is not. It's not.
What happened? What happened? What were you saying?
I was asking them if they wanted to hear me sing while we were waiting for you to fix your headset, but I don't think that would be.
I think it's okay. I think that's okay. I think it's okay right now. But I just had I don't know why. I've got this fancy set. When you touch it, it's like all of a sudden it goes. It starts speaking to you, then it activates something new, and I'm like, I just want audio and like noise cancellation. That's it. I don't want anything else. Like, don't do anything else. Like, don't breathe. It's like that headphone. Stop talking to me.
You don't want any satellites flying around your head.
I don't want satellites flying around. I don't need all that fancy stuff. So just so everybody knows about Spock. Okay, so I had this person in the garage the other day. My garage. She says to me, Max, brings up. I love Star Trek, and he brings up Spock's hand sign. And I said, well, look, let me give you the background on that. Leonard Nimoy was Jewish, and he was familiar with the traditions of the ancient Israelites, and he inserted that. He brought up that idea. They were trying to come up. Him and Gene Roddenberry and the creators were all trying to come up in the '60s with some sort of greeting for a Vulcan, and he decided to start. He did that hand gesture, and that hand gesture, the Spock hand gesture, if you would, live long and prosper. The hand gestures actually goes back to ancient biblical times. It was used by the Kohanim, which were the Levitical priesthood, the high priesthood, descendants of Aaron, Moses' brother, that specifically on certain Jewish festivals, they would go out and they would do the same hand gesture with both hands. And the reason they would do that is because they were making the sign of the Sheen, which is the first letter of one of the names of God. It's translated in English as El Shaddai, the Almighty God. And they were making the first. So when you do that, when you make a sheen with your hands, Orthodox Jews understand that as you're actually invoking the name of the God of Israel. So that's why he did that. That's what he was drawing from. He was drawing the inspiration from his Jewish heritage, and he became part of Vulcan heritage, the fictional Vulcan heritage, and they inserted it. And I get very few people actually know that when they do that's what they're doing. They're signaling the name of God. So it's kind of interesting. That's what I remember just putting that together. So one of the angels, I think it was Jessica, said, that it was like a mini masterpiece, Max's mini masterpiece.
It was.
Correct. It's cute. That was really cute. But
nobody was expecting that.
I'm glad, and I'm glad that I'm glad people got a lot of people engaged with that over the course of 24 hours. So I'm hoping that a lot of people enjoyed it, and apparently they did. So that made me feel good.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but it's little things like that make the garage an even more fun place to hang out, because you just never know when a little comment is going to be turned into a very interesting learning session.
Well, that's the way. I try to do that for people. I try to get them to kind of pick something up out of the out of my teachings, and because I like to teach. It's my thing. And so, if I can give instructions. But I'm glad. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank all my subscribers. I want to thank members of Maximus Premium. I'm glad everybody is enjoying and I'm just taken back by the very positive feedback from everyone. So thank you so much. It's wonderful. So, it's great. Yeah. And if you want to join Maximus Premium, who should they contact, Roxie? Because we're for the month of October. If they want to give it a try, who should they contact?
Me. Contact me.
Right. Should be in the description below. Contact Roxie. It's Roxie Balboa, the #1 at gmail.com, and email her or DM her, direct message her directly. So, and
Roxie
we look forward to having
Balboa.
Yep. That's at Roxie _Balboa. There you go. So, that's
right.
Got
the at.
Yeah. Got that.
Yeah,
actually, there was a question in the room just now, at least one I could see here. Could the Democrats call for martial law before the election, and what would that mean? And I'll just say, no. There's no such thing as a party calling for martial law. Constitutionally, the only person or the only body that can invoke martial law is really Congress. However, presidents have done it, and Congress lets them do it. So if the president was to invoke martial law, he'd have to have a constitutional grounds. The only grounds for invoking martial law is if the civil courts have completely ceased to function. If civil courts have not ceased to function, there can't be martial law. And as long as in other words, as long as there's a court system operating, there can't be martial law. Martial law actually means court martials, and you can't have military courts and tribunals when civil courts are operating in the United States. It's simply not constitutional. If a president ever tried to invoke martial law with an executive order or anything else and try to declare it for anything less than a natural disaster where, you have basically a major earthquake hits a city, wipes out all the buildings, there's no functioning government, or if there's an insurrection or an invasion that shut down the court systems, if he does it for anything less than that, and it has to always have this court system is not operating, if anything less than that, it would immediately be stopped by federal courts and overturned. I mean, his order would just be vacated. So it would never be enforced. It's not enforceable. So the answer is no on that point. So what's your next question?
Right.
Roxie, another one?
Yeah, we do. What are your thoughts on climate change legislation? Do you think that they can hand over control to the UN as far as standards? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. So what's the question about? Wait a minute, let me just say the question.
Climate change legislation. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think that they can hand over control to the UN?
No. I think they're talking about. See, this is again misinformation that's being pressed out there by sites that don't really know what they're talking about. I think what people are referring to is the amendment to a climate accord that was adopted in 1987 during the Reagan administration. I think that they're banning HFCs, I think it is. They banned Freon 30-something years ago, and that was phased out. And now they're banning, I think they're called HFCs, which was the replacement for Freon, and that'll be phased out over time. And I think that that's what they're referring to. I think, I remember there was some chatter about that a couple of days ago. That was actually passed in the Senate. The Senate ratified that amendment to the existing treaty, which the Senate can legally do if it has enough people. And apparently it had 69 votes. You need 67 votes to ratify something in the Senate. So a few Republicans did cross over. I would have voted against it, because I don't think that solves any problems. But you had the Chamber of Commerce and every rhino organization out there supporting it, because they probably have their money invested in alternative fuels. So they want to make a profit. That's all it ever is about. It's about making a profit. And I talk about a lot about these things on Maximus Premium. We got to follow the money. And so, there's a lot of cash that's floating around. It explains everything when you know it. And that's all it is. It's no big conspiracy to overthrow the United States. What it is just big companies that want to prosper, and they have politicians in their pocket. But what is it going to do? Well, it will create new technology as a result, and eventually, down the road, maybe not next year or the following year, but in 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 years, when you buy another refrigerator, it'll be a different type of, I'm going to say the old-fashioned expression, Freon. It'll be a different coolant that it's using as a result. And I wouldn't think too much into it. Now, as far as them turning over authority to the EU or the UN or something, no, there's nothing. Nobody's turning over anything to the UN. I don't know where that's coming from, frankly. Like
standards. Like they give control to the UN for standards, like manufacturing ACs or outsourcing it or something like that.
Well, okay, that treaty was entered into probably before, when everybody was, and that's in, on my channels, was little kids or before they were born, some of them. That was all by the Reagan administration. They just amended it to just ban HFCs. That's all. I mean, they banned Freon, which was the most effective coolant ever, in my opinion, one of the most effective coolants ever used. It was also one of the worst for the environment, they said. But that's not turning over standards to the UN. It's just adopting standards that were internationally agreed upon 35 years ago, and they're just updating it. So they're just adding another coolant and forcing manufacturers to come up with a better coolant. Now, whether it's better or not, that's the question. I don't support putting restrictions on manufacturing, and this whole talk about leveling the playing field by banning something is always silly. I mean, that's like what they're doing in California. They want to ban combustion engines to get you to buy electric cars. No. Make an affordable electric car that everybody loves, and the people will come. If you build it, they'll come. So, I just saw it dropped in the room there. R12 Freon. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't believe that, I don't believe that, that's the way you approach it. You create competition by backing away and reducing restrictions. So I would have voted against the Senate amendment, as it looks like 31 Republicans did. But and all they needed was 34 to vote against it, and they could have stopped it. But, nevertheless, I think that it's not really going to hurt anyone. You're not losing your rights just because they do that. And you know what? A president can always leave a treaty. He can always signal that he's leaving a treaty. So if Trump wanted to, he could leave that treaty. He never bothered to. He could just say, he could declare that we're ending. And now there's question as to whether or not he can even legally do that constitutionally. He did pull us out of agreements. He did pull us out of certain treaties. We've had presidents pull us out of arms treaties in the past. So there is constitutional grounds for it. I have to say that too. I want to qualify myself. But anyways, thank you for all that. I appreciate everybody leaving comments in the garage and everything. And thank you for all those in Unchained. I'm seeing, there's actually a question in Unchained. I'm just going to go ahead and answer it because I'm looking at it right now. I think that, why not? Do I think that Tim Michaels has a chance to defeat Tony Evers? Absolutely. And if you're in Wisconsin, I don't know, I hope you're working for don't stay online all day and just read what I say. Okay. One of the biggest things is we're getting close to the election. It's great. Hey, I want you guys to read everything I say and share it. Okay. I want everybody to do that. Tell everybody about me. But I hope everybody gets motivated to get out there and do something. Wisconsin is ripe. Evers is probably going to go down. I would say Michaels has a very good chance of winning. I think Johnson's going to pull him over the finish line. That's my feeling. Now, that's just a gut feeling. I could be wrong. According to certain people, I have near perfect score. So, I got like 190 to 0. So I've been pretty good. I think I'm not making a prediction on Wisconsin's governor's race. I am going to say Johnson's going to win re-election. He always does. But definitely. I think Evers is going down. Michaels has a good chance. So.
Yeah.
Got another one?
Don't forget to sign up for CM22 coming up.
Oh, hey, let me just plug that right now. Everybody got to contact Roxie for this one. I understand certain topics are more interest than you. It's totally understandable, but everybody should attend my seminars. The big one is next month, Civics Maximus 2022. I'm doing it twice. It's October, 24th and the 25th, and then the 28th and the 29th, right? So it's going to be my full projections for the elections, Senate, House, state legislatures, governors. I'm going to talk about it all. And we'll be there for 2 nights, actually 4 nights. We're going to be doing 4 nights. So some people are going to sign up for both seminars because they're going to come back. They're going to do it twice. So contact Roxie. She's reserving seats right now. You can actually contact all the angels and tell them you want to get on it. So if you have a report, one of them, fine. But you could just email Roxie, just put in the subject line, Civics Maximus 2022. I'm going to be giving you my full projections, and members of Maximus Premium get a discount to my seminars, which have new prices now. It's a new pricing scheme. So definitely, if you've talked to us in the past, contact the girls right now, the Angels and the Warriors, and tell them you want to get in on it and you want more information, because we'd love to have you there, because we're going to go rock them and sock them for several days talking about the election results, and it's going to be great. And then after the elections, I'll be doing a post-mortem, and that's, people get kind of confused. What's a post-mortem? It's a breakdown of the election results on November 9th and 10th. And a lot of interesting people are going to be there. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not going to give any secrets away. A lot of interesting people are going to be at that one as I break down election results from coast to coast, which are going to still be coming in. And then, of course, all through the elections, I'm going to be posting on all my channels. Members of Premium are going to get a live broadcast like this, so I'm going to be talking to them. So you definitely want to sign up really for Maximus Premium in October and November. You know, just give it. You have nothing to lose. You're going to love it. I mean, it's just great. So members of Maximus Premium, I'm going to be talking to them. We're going to be walking them through election results in real time, especially on election night. So, and again, it's going to be more of an election week because results are going to be coming in. You know, even when I'm doing the post-mortem, there's going to be results still pending. We won't know the outcome of certain races.
Yeah, October and November are going to be heating up over there in premium, so make sure you get in there.
It's true.
There's going to be lots of good stuff coming out of there. Yeah, I got another couple questions for you.
Okay.
So if the rumors of President Xi of China being under house arrest are true, would a change in power back towards the previous regime greatly affect the world's stability in a good or bad way?
Can you say that one more time? Whoa, I have intellectuals in MP. We really do. We have some real intellectuals. That's a challenge for me. I want to hear this one more time.
Okay. So there's rumors of President Xi of China being under house arrest, which is not a good thing. So they want to know, if those rumors are true, would a change in power back towards the previous regime greatly affect the world's stability?
I don't know. I haven't given that one much thought. I'm going to have to think about that one. Give me a second. Let me think about this. You know,
that's a good one.
Yeah, it is a really good one. You know, I would say no. I look, the only thing that's going to create a real change in China is going to be, I mean, there'll be marginal changes if there was a reversion back to the previous regime. The only thing that's going to change China is a revolution. Okay, and I mean a democratic revolution where the people, I mean, there are violent humanitarian problems going on in China. I mean, everybody unanimously kind of agrees on that. They're human rights abusers. And I don't care if, you know, some of them get angry at me for saying this, but the fact is that you're not going to have real change, meaningful change, until they overthrow the communist regime, the CCP, basically. End of conversation. So anything less than that is marginal. And I mean, I guess there'd be some change. There's another option too. And this is what Trump was doing, leveraging economics to put pressure on them as a country. And I think trade embargoes would be a great thing. I think the trade war that we had and we still have going on with them, because Biden hasn't really rolled back any of the tariffs that have been placed on him by the Trump administration. So they've got all that, most of that's still in place. A lot of that's still in place. And I would have just think that you cut them off from European and American economies and their whole economy collapses. And, you know, you'd see really quickly many of the people in China take to the streets like they did in 1989. Now, hopefully there's never another massacre like that, but you'd see them take to the streets and really start to push to overthrow that regime. And that's something that we can only pray for and hope for, because that's the only thing that'll liberate China and really change the direction of that country.
Yeah. Those poor people over there. I mean, talk about
they go
being depressed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, let's turn it over to 2024. What do you make of Pompeo allegedly contemplating a run?
Oh, I don't think anything of it. I think he talks about that sometimes, and there's nothing meaningful in anything that he's saying about that. If he runs, it doesn't matter. If Donald Trump runs, Donald Trump's the nominee. If DeSantis runs and Donald Trump's not running, DeSantis is the nominee. Pompeo's not a factor. He doesn't enter into my thinking. He never has.
Okay,
so I don't think much of
that. Leads us into the next question. Then, what do we make of all the noise regarding DeSantis being in front of Trump?
Only in one state, in Florida.
In Florida,
and that would make sense. I thought it was kind of funny that he was trailing Trump so badly all the time, but then again, nobody really took it seriously, and they don't take it seriously now. Some people do, but DeSantis certainly isn't. DeSantis is not running if Trump runs. So, you know, I don't know if DeSantis would run even if Trump doesn't run. I think he wants to serve out a second term, and he's probably looking at 2028. And, you know, I think that if you remember Trump running in 2016, Trump didn't win Texas. Ted Cruz won Texas. If you remember Trump running in 2016, Trump didn't win Ohio. Kasich won Ohio. Usually these guys will win 1, 2, 3 states and they pick up their home state. Trump won New York, because he was from New York. So if he was faced with the primary opponent, someone like DeSantis is the most serious, DeSantis would come in a distant second, much like Ted Cruz did in 2016. He would probably win a few states. One of them would probably win Florida. And so it's no surprise to me. And the idea that he's only 7 points ahead of Trump in Florida tells you how weak DeSantis is in a presidential primary against Trump. So, but I don't know why everybody has to persistently go back to this, because this is never going to happen. DeSantis is never going to challenge Trump for the nomination. He has no reason to. These two guys like each other. They agree politically on a lot, and there's no reason for them to compete against each other. Now, if he was an anti-Trumper, if DeSantis was an outspoken Liz Cheney never Trumper, then I would say, yeah, he may be considering running. But the only people really considering running against Trump are has-beens, people that nobody even cares what their names are. They're forgettable. And, I think the highest name recognition in potential candidates is Larry Hogan from Maryland, who nobody's going to vote for in the primary. And Liz Cheney is not even, I don't even know if she's seriously considering it, because she kind of knows that she's got no chance. She said now she's going to leave the Republican Party if Trump's even the nominee. So I don't even know if that's.
Let's hope that happens.
I hope. She's never been a part of the Republican Party. So yeah. This is all nonsense anyways.
Yeah. Well, that's a wrap for our questions.
Oh, that's okay. That's been fun. It was short and sweet, somewhat short. Typically, these are my live podcasts can go over up to 2 hours. So these things are. I'm glad though. Those are some really good questions, and I hope I answered your questions, and hope everybody enjoyed it. And anyways, I'm just looking through the room here and seeing if there's anything else that I may not have missed. Comment in the room there. A lot of big conservative Twitter peeps keep pushing DeSantis. It's very annoying. I agree. It is annoying. So, to me, look, way I look at it, hey, ignore it when you see stuff like that. It's garbage. And, anyways, so I want to thank everybody for joining us today for MAGA Bytes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys give Maximus Premium a chance. It's in the description below. Reach out to Roxie. I want to thank all the members, everybody, and then some everybody signing up and for the first time, and everybody renewed. And I want to thank everybody. You guys are wonderful. It's great serving you and providing this service. And reach out to Roxie if you want to become a member of Maximus Premium. You can, again, reach her at Roxie Balboa, the number 1 at gmail.com. It's in the description. I'll have everything below there. And, check your DMs. Everybody always check your DMs. Join us for 401, which is Civics Maximus, the Anti-Federalist, this weekend, or actually this Thursday and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to join us for that, contact the Angels and the Warriors and sign up. We'd love to have you. If you guys are having a hardship or something, let Roxie know. We'll make it work. And otherwise, I hope to see you guys next month through for Civics Maximus 2022. That's big. Really, we're really into the elections. And so I'm laser focused. I keep saying that, but it's the truth. That's all I've been focused on, guys, since January of last year. I pivoted to 2022 so early. Everybody else was still looking at, I didn't care. I was focused on this. Want to make sure we sweep everything. I believe we're going to sweep everything. I'm going to talk about it in details on MP. I will of course, I always post on my channels, polls and whatnot, and of course at the seminars, because we're going to I want everyone to understand this. Go out, make sure you register a friend if you haven't already. Make sure you get your friends to the polling places and voting on election day. Make sure, if you haven't already, and you can do this, if you can make it happen, become a poll watcher, become a poll worker. One of those two, be there, look around, keep your eyes open. This is the way. If you don't know how to do it, you could contact Eyes on You 1776, one of my angels. Contact Eyes, and she can actually help you guys wherever you're at, whatever state you're in, sign up as a poll watcher or poll worker. So she's an expert in that. And we, it's just important that because this is what we did in Virginia. One of the ways we won Virginia, we won it big, was by having so many people, okay, just poll watchers and poll workers. That's what made it work. So it's very important to do that and just flood those precincts with people that are patriots, that are really concerned about election integrity. But anyways, I hope everybody's enjoyed. If you want to support my work, use my Venmo or my PayPal, and I would appreciate that. Any tip or anything like that would be great. So listen, Rox, I think this is a wrap. You're right. It's been great. And it's been fun. And reach out to Roxie. Yeah, and reach out to Roxie and thank her too, and send her some love, because she's always getting inundated and has to answer hundreds of questions every week. So
they do show me a lot of love.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Everybody's great.
Thanks.
But we have so much good stuff coming up. I mean, like hot off the press, October and November are going to be on fire. So make sure you get in on it, get a part of us. Absolutely. Be encouraged, be happy. We got this. Right?
We do. We definitely do. Okay, guys, God bless. We'll talk to you later, and see yous.
Yeah, see you on the other side. Peace out.
See you on the other side.